What's up, guys? This is literally going to be the most raw video ever, but I just want to go over my story and how I got into wholesaling in the first place because I feel like a lot of people are in the same exact scenario that I was personally in like 2 years ago. And I want to show you guys how I got out of that situation, took a shit ton of risk, lost some money, but in the end made a ton of money and completely changed my life. And yeah, I really hope that me explaining how I went through all of this stuff that you guys are probably going through right now can motivate you to continue going, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I promise you, if you stay consistent at something for a long period of time, you will make money from it and you will see success, especially in a business model like wholesale real estate, because it hits you hard. It's not like a low ticket business where your first sale is $10. Once you make your first deal, it's usually 15, 20, 25 grand. And that 15, 20, 25 grand completely changes your life and shifts your trajectory entirely. So let me explain to you exactly how I did it, how I got into the business model, and everything that happened to me during my journey. First things first, let's backtrack 2 years ago. It was roughly this time. It was my junior year of high school, and my parents were just telling me, like, all right, you need to go into trade school. You need to go into normal college if you are not going to find a way to make money. I was always someone who wanted to make money online. I did YouTube channels, I did drop shipping, I did all of that and made a little bit of money, but not enough to actually like show my parents that I could make money online. So they told me, like, yo, you gotta figure something out or else you are going to have to go to college or something like that. And obviously, I am not the type of person who wants to sit in a classroom for 8 hours a day. I don't care how corny it sounds or, how like weird it sounds, but like I genuinely could not do that. And like I found high school to be so easy, like genuinely the easiest thing ever. I passed all my classes, I would ace every single test, very good at state tests, top 99 percentile. I just hated it. I did not find it enjoyable at. So about that time of year, I discovered wholesaling real estate off of a TikTok. I thought it was a scam at first because I was just scrolling, like, how you see a TikTok business model. You're like, oh, it's probably a scam. But then, as you guys know, you like a video and it's going to keep popping up. So I liked one of the videos, and then over time, my For You page got flooded with real estate shit like flippers, developers, and wholesalers. And I realized over time, like, okay, wholesaling is actually a real business model. Like, it genuinely makes sense. All of the other TikTok business models never really made sense to me, but wholesaling real estate just made so much sense because it was literally finding discounted properties and just finding a buyer. Like, how could that not be a real business model? And the more I looked into it, I realized it is a real business model and there's nothing fake about it. It just has to be approached in the right way. So during this time, I was working two jobs. I was working at a golf course and I was working as a plumber for my dad, who owns a company. It's a very small company. Don't think that I came from a billionaire plumbing company. Literally working 7 days a week. I was working Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the golf course from 2 to like 12. And then I was working as a plumber every single day after school. And after doing that for like 4 weeks straight, I was just getting really fed up. I was making decent money. Like, obviously, if you work that much, you're going to get paid for it. So I was making about $1,000 a week, but it was just so draining to not have any free time to do anything I want. I could barely even go to the gym. So I remembered back on my slight amount of research that I had in wholesaling real estate, and I was like, okay, I might as well give this a shot. And this is when I officially started wholesaling real estate. It was about beginning of 2024. So I've been in the business for almost 2 years now. The first month was terrible. I was just coming home every single day after work or after school or whatever and just trying to get in as many calls as possible. I thought that cold calling was going to get me my first deal, so I paid for lists, I paid for dialers, I watched all of the videos, I bought scripts, and I was doing all of this, but I wasn't really seeing any progress. Like, I would show up every single day, I would try and make like an hour or two of dials every single day, but as you guys know, if you're already in the business, that's just not enough volume to see success, especially for cold outbound marketing where you're doing the lead generation yourself. It's just such a waste of time to be cold calling. And I repeated this process, which is my biggest mistake and has cost me the most amount of money, for 7 months. I was cold calling straight for 7 months every single day, and I thought it would close me a deal. After my first 3 months cold calling, I thought that I was going to close a deal. I genuinely had self-belief in myself to the point where I was willing to quit both of my jobs to go all in on wholesaling. So the right around the month 3 part is when I quit both of my jobs. I had probably 10K to my name after working all of those hours and saving up all that money. And from this point out, I was literally grinding wholesaling for 6 to 9 hours every single day, not a day missed. When I tell you guys, I locked myself in my room and called for that amount of time every single day without failure for 6 months, I did. No bullshit, no distractions. I wasn't getting on my computer and just watching YouTube videos. I was genuinely sitting on my dialer. I used call tools at the time for 6 to 9 hours every single day, cold calling my ass off until I found a deal. Eventually, I got a couple properties under contract. All of them fell out to random stuff. Obviously, I had no clue what I was doing in the title process, so a couple of deals probably fell out because of that. And then other deals fell out to purely unforeseen circumstances, like just getting extremely unlucky. Like title issues, there was back taxes, there was liens that the seller didn't know about, and it just ruined the deal. And that was my first 7 months in the business, just pure agony, literally watching my bank account drain, trying to pay hundreds of dollars every single month for lists, for dialers, trying to, sprinkle in a little bit of marketing here and there. But overall, I was just spending my money on the wrong things and allocating my time to the wrong things. It was around like mid-year 2024 where I made a shift and it completely changed everything. Around like July to August-ish during 2024, I started talking to people who actually knew what they were doing and who were actually closing deals. And they basically reviewed what I was doing because I was like, dude, I've been in the business for 6 months. I've spent 3 to 4 grand on dialers and lists, and I still haven't closed a deal, and I have no clue what I'm doing wrong. I'm putting in the work. I'm doing the shit that I'm told to do on YouTube, and I don't know where I'm going wrong. Like, it makes no sense. I got around the right people, and they told me, you're doing it completely backwards, and you are completely wasting your time. And when I heard that, I was pretty much shattered. I was ready to quit at that point, but I still did have money left over. Like, it's not like I blew my whole 10K within the first like 6 months. I was spending it on cheap shit like dialers and lists. So with the remaining $6,000 I had, I started to get into marketing. Now, half of it was completely wasted because of stuff that I don't really want to talk about. I don't want to throw shade on who I paid money to, but let's just say I paid someone and they didn't really fulfill what they said they were going to do. But that's besides the point. You live and you learn. You got to do research into the people that you pay. With the remaining like $3,500 that I had, I decided to go all in on Facebook marketing. For whatever reason, I chose Facebook because I thought it would give me my first deal fastest. And it's what the guys I was talking to were doing at the time. And they were seeing success with it. So I thought I would see success with it as well. Now, I got very lucky. I would never recommend to get into Facebook marketing with $3,500. I think you need a lot more to see results. But I did end up closing my first deal for around $20,000 profit. This was life-changing. Like, this was literally the make or break moment. I was literally 8 months into the business ready to quit, but the people in my corner were telling me, like, don't quit, bro. You were just doing it wrong. Just do it the right way, and I promise you, you will see results. Truth be told, within a week of running those Facebook ads, a lead came in my pipeline. It was a very hot lead. Had buyers in the area. I locked it up, sold it the same exact day, and was able to close in 3 weeks because the title process was smooth, the buyer was ready to go, and all of the ducks were aligned. Like, it was literally the perfect deal. And that is the turning point in your career. Whether you're someone who has hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank or whether you're someone who is dead broke like me, that first deal is your turning point because that is your proof of concept. Once you realize, like, oh shit, this business actually works and there's $20,000 that appeared in my bank account that wasn't there before, your mindset just shifts. Like, I was so much more motivated to talk to people every single day. I had so much more energy, and all of that momentum just carried into me scaling the business. With that first $20,000, I didn't even touch it. I didn't even want to touch it. I wanted to spend it all on the business. I wanted to get to 50, 75, 100K so fast that I didn't even touch that $20,000 because I wanted to put it all into marketing. And that's exactly what I did. I started to put all of that money into marketing, hiring cold callers, hiring VAs. I spent more on ads. I would do a little bit of SMS. Around like Q4 last year is when I really started to get the hang of things. I was closing consistent deals every single month, like 1 to 2. I was making anywhere between 15 to 30K every single month. And as an 18-year-old kid, obviously that is great money. And I was finally starting to show myself like, damn, I can actually make this work and I can actually make a shit ton of money with this business model. And that was probably the most blissful feeling in the entire world. Like, finally making something work that you've been trying to make work for the longest time. And then the beginning of this year, like, everything skyrocketed. I started getting around people who were doing more deals. I started getting more involved with my business partners who I'm more involved with today. And I was doing 3 to 5 deals a month very consistently, like January, February, March. Like, all of those months were very, very good. And I was able to build up a ton of capital from that. Now, obviously, fast forward to today, I'm sitting on a good amount of liquid capital, and I'm finally starting to make the move from wholesaling into actually buying these properties myself. Like 2 days ago, I closed on my first ever actual flip. It's a piece of land, so it's a pretty small flip, but it has a ton of profit. And now with the amount of money that I'm sitting on now, I just want to start buying and buying and buying. Like, I honestly was never someone to buy a shit ton of materialistic items. Obviously, I'm going to buy stuff. I like cars. I like nice apartments. I like nice things. But at the end of the day, relative to how much I have, I'm not going to ever spend my money on shit that's not going to make me money. Like, I'm not gonna lie, at the point where I'm at now, the car I purchased and like the stuff I buy just really isn't that expensive to me. Like, if I really wanted, I could go out buy a Lambo, but like, why the fuck would I do that when I could just buy more real estate? And then once a Lambo is cheap to me, that's when I'll buy the Lambo. But yeah, that's basically my story. That's how I closed my first deal. That's how I got into business, and that's how I scaled it up. It was a very exponential journey. Like, I wanted to tell you guys, like, the first 7 months, hell, they were terrible. They sucked. They were the worst months of my life. Stressed out at night, basically pulling my hair out. I would skip the gym. I just was not in a healthy state of mind at all. I was just trying so hard to make this work and not seeing any results, and just seeing my bank account deplete was the most demotivating thing in the entire world. But honestly, that is something that most entrepreneurs are going to need to go through. There's no entrepreneurial come up story where you don't go through some shit like that. So that's my story. That's what I went through. And chances are you're probably going through something similar. And honestly, bro, my best advice to you right now is just to stick it out. It's going to work out in the end. I promise you. Like, the temporary pain is so worth the permanent pleasure. Now I can do whatever I want. I'm constantly flying home to see my family. I obviously live basically the life I always dreamed of with my friends in Dallas. I'm able to buy whatever I want. I'm able to travel wherever I want. But yeah, I'll end my yapping session here. I didn't go into too much detail about how I actually scaled up my business, because I feel like that would probably make this video 10 hours long, and that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is, one, to show you what's truly possible, and to two, connect with people who are in similar situations to myself starting out, because I know for a fact there are people like me out there. And to stay dedicated, you need to stay locked in, especially in a business like wholesaling where the ticket is so high. That first deal is going to change your life completely. Trust me. Yeah, guys, leave a like, leave a sub. I'm going to drop a link down below of a video of how to get into wholesaling. That video is going to go over how to wholesale and how to actually get into like the logistics of things. If you're ready to make a change in your life and you're tired of being broke, just watch that video, bro. Like, trust me, there's so much value in there. Guys, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment, and I will see you guys in the next one.